We're coming to you today from the beautiful setting of Pink Lake in the Gatineau Park. And the reason we're coming to you from Pink Lake in the Gatineau Park today is because we want to share with you one experience that I had of the spiritual climb of the mountain. And we thought this beautiful, pristine, perfect setting of Gatineau Park would be wonderful to share that with you. We're also going to share a lot of different spiritual experiences I've had over the years, and the natural setting and the beauty and peace that can be found in this type of setting is very conducive to helping you on your spiritual journey. So we hope that you really enjoy some of the settings that we come to you from today. I'm also going to be sharing some of the harder, darker experiences of Satan, demons, spiritual attack. And the one thing I really want to bring to mind for you as you listen to these, because I know people can be afraid of the dark side, is what I call it, but I really want you to become aware that this is the peace of Jesus Christ. This is the peace of God our Father. Nature mimics, and it is His creation. It brings you that peace. So you do not have to fear, even in listening to some of the experiences that I'm going to share with you. I always like to tell people, invoke the protection of the precious blood of Jesus over yourself at any time if you're feeling under spiritual duress.
Hi, I'm Karen Bourgon, Ottawa wife and mother of 6. I'm a former fitness professional, and in my current work, I'm an administrator. I also run a women's group called Sisterhood. It all began in December 1999 with what I call my angel experience, and has continued to this day. Since that time, I've continued to have experiences and occasional messages from Jesus, Mary, God, angels, and unfortunately spiritual attack from Satan and demons through the dream form. We'll be bringing these experiences to life for you as witness here on the Deliverance Network.
This one is a very long, detailed dream, and it has to do with me being an undercover operative in a major battle. And of course, we're in the spiritual battle, the forces of good against evil. And it had to do with a plot against the king and being us in the king's castle, we who are on the good side fighting against dark forces. And I saw kind of an inside scene, and it showed that we in the king's castle have been slowly and subtly poisoned over time by hidden placed evil. And I'm not going to comment about the evil in the church and perhaps negative forces placed within the Catholic Church to undermine it from the inside. I think there's enough on the internet describing that already. But I can confirm that I was shown a glimpse of this through this dream experience. And that slowly and subtly we are being poisoned with things that are not good. And one of the scenes that I was shown was people doing tarot card readings. So in a way, people perhaps in the Catholic faith or in the Christian churches dabbling in the occult, and it's really a dangerous thing to do. So that is one of those things that could be poisoning or diluting your faith. But the real focus of this dream was being inside this king's castle, and seeing all of the operatives, all of us working for good, but also seeing that there's real demonic attack coming at us as we're trying to perform this good. And I was trying to disseminate this information that we really need to be careful of what we choose while we are working for good in God's castle. And this part of the dream specifically had to do with a warning for people who are Russian. Don't ask me why, but a specific part of this dream experience had to do with me giving witness to Russians. And we were sitting in a circle of chairs, and I was exhorting people of Russian descent and living in Russia, and I said this to them. I said, our enemy is not each other. We battle against forces unseen. They're hideous, and they are very strong. And I'm of course talking about demons and Satan. And it is against them that we must unite. Our fight is against them, not each other, as humans. And then I told everyone who would listen of Satan and demons that I've seen in my dream state that God has allowed me to experience, and said that to the Russians again, have you not, even one of you, also seen these evil, unseen demons that I speak of, and know that I speak the truth? And so I placed that out there as a challenge and a witness. And after this, a young Russian did approach me and say, yes, I've experienced what you're talking about, and we did collaborate with the hidden battle, the unseen battle. And I was explaining how I've seen Satan and demons in the dream state. They're extremely powerful, ugly creatures, scaly, large claws. They have great power to entrap us. And so I was giving a very firm witness that we really need those on the good side to try to make sure we stay clean from sin, that we repent of any sin, and that we really try to avoid occult practices so that we can be the best operative for God as possible. And then I saw something from the outside of the castle that was most shocking, and I'm going to share that with you now. This last part of the dream experience was absolutely horrifying, and I was shown something very, very interesting. I was shown basically the head agent or evil man of Satan, and perhaps this is the dark prince who is to come in the world. And he was the chief on the evil side. He came up against the king's castle. I literally saw him come and try to climb the castle walls. And we, in the good side, or in the castle, were part of the king's camp. And he was ascending all the way up the side of the castle. Literally, we had bastions at the windows, which are, of course, witnesses like myself. He was coming up this wall to overcome and take over the camp of the king's people, which is, of course, us Christians. And as he reached just the window, I was shown he was pushed forth from the window. He was not able to overcome the king's castle, the king's camp, which of course Jesus says himself in the Bible that he will not overcome. The gates of hell will not be allowed to overcome God's kingdom. But in this advanced vision, I was shown as this man was pushed to the ground, he fell far and he died hitting the ground. And as his body, I was looking out the bastion window, as I saw him lying there on the ground, dead and in a horrible position, I saw Satan emerge in spirit out of this man and sit up, and he looked directly at me. It was horrifying. And he said to me in the most sneering, sarcastic, derisive tone, "You saw it all before it happened, didn't you?" And I woke up with an absolute start. And it's like an advanced vision of the fact that we are on the good side. We're going to win this battle.
Well, we've taken a momentary break from beautiful Gatineau Park to come to you from beautiful Hogsback, except not as nice a day. And we wanted to share with you an experience that I had from February the 11th, 2004. It was a dream of me and others being on a pioneering ship, a big, big ship with a captain. Of course, our captain is Jesus. The ship is on the water, and in particular, he was showing me my stage of the journey, and that my ship was going to do a very unusual thing, and it was going to be traversing almost fully underwater and absorbing this water, that I was going to be able to breathe this heavy water that he was going to give to me. And of course, the heavy water is grace. The second part of this dream experience had to do with how I was going to be traversing and being almost completely immersed in water. And the captain, of course, Jesus, our captain, showed me a vertical column of water. It had a beautiful iridescent rainbow running through it. And he showed me that I was going to be basically journeying completely underwater and breathing in this heavy water that he was asking me to breathe. And he gently put his hand on the back of my head because I was apprehensive about what this would entail. And he gently pressed my face forward until my face was immersed in this heavy water, this heavy grace. And I really liken it to those periods in the spiritual journey or your spiritual walk where you may be going through a calm time, but then Jesus asks you to go deeper and you're plunged in and over the waterfall, and you're asked to really trust God and trust Jesus in the turbulent times and maybe some swirling chaos of heavier water, heavier grace that he's asking you to go through, so that he can deepen you in your spiritual journey and perhaps use you more profoundly for others in the spiritual journey. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to be able to breathe this deep, heavy water, but Jesus assured me he would do everything necessary for me to be able to absorb the grace and traverse the waterfall and do this work that he's asked me to do. This experience was such a profound one of God our Father from March the 12th, 2008. And it was a little bit of guidance for the next stage of the journey that I was going to be taking. But it illuminates God a little bit and his nature. So this dream experience I'm going to share with you ties into that experience of Jesus pressing my head into the waterfall, be prepared to receive great graces, him pushing my head into the heavy water so that I can drink in that which he wishes to give me, so that I can be empowered for mission, which is of course what I'm doing with you today. This experience that I experienced in March 2008, I had previously experienced just this heavy word, Shekinah, come to me during the dream state. And I really wasn't sure what it meant, so I went and looked it up, and it has to do with the power and the glory and the full presence of God. And so this experience, right afterwards, the same evening, I experienced a very small, still voice, as often people refer to that voice of God being the small, still, almost silent voice. And he said,
Dispose yourself to receive the high and mighty Lord. And I immediately responded and I said to him, I am so disposed. And I began to pray with even greater fervor as this was occurring with me. And he was impregnating me with his divine love, somehow with graces, again, that heavy waterfall, that even I don't understand. But then the still small voice said to me again, exposing yourself to this Mass will require that you in turn expose yourself. And I sensed that this meant to others. And indeed, this has become the spiritual journey for me. My journey was extremely hidden in the backdrop, not really seen by anyone, praying in my home, going to Mass, offering sufferings, etc. And I knew that I was being called by God to move forward to the peoples and basically be exposed, my person being exposed for the witness that I'm going to give, because it's not your average person's journey. But I give this to you as witness again to the spiritual walk today.
I'm going to be sharing with you kind of an intimate moment of feeling bereft in the spiritual journey, of feeling like you don't know which direction you're going on, what God is really calling you to do, feeling the stripping of the world and feeling perhaps not being understood by other people. But it was a profound moment that God showed me He's always there. And this experience is from April the 23rd, 2002.
It has to do with being at the beginning of a deeper spiritual journey, being called apart by God. And those of you who are listening out there right now understand what I mean, that when you're first called and you become aware that the spiritual truths are real, and you are all about embarking on that journey because you have discovered the pearl of great price, not everyone around you understands this journey that you are embarking on and the depth and the passion that you have for this spiritual journey and the deepening of it. And sometimes you can experience attack or being left alone by people who you previously thought were very close people to you. Sometimes it can be spouses, it can be friends. And this is a very difficult part of the initial walk of the spiritual journey into deeper fullness of it. And this experience has to do with me being at that stage of the journey. This is very early on in my massive 18-year spiritual walk with God. And I was feeling rejected, that me and my baby, the passion, was being rejected by the people around me. And then apart from the satanic attack, which we've talked about a lot already, there's that feeling of being kind of alone on the journey and losing people and supports you previously had because they are not going to understand what you're experiencing. One has to really go through it to understand it, and then their turn will come if they're not there yet. And so I was at this point in my journey, and I had this dream experience that I was trying to get someone to listen to me, and no one was really interested. And I became so bereft and walked away, and I was on the side of a path or road, and I was almost like an orphaned baby. And I was on this hillside where other orphaned babies were, and they were all left, and we were all crying out Abba to our Father. And so I know that there are many out there who are in this stage right now in the spiritual journey going, Father, like, what are you calling me to? Where am I at? And I became as if in that orphaned baby, and I felt how bereft and lonely it was to be on this hillside calling for my Father, Daddy, Abba. And then all of a sudden, even though I was bereft and on this hillside not knowing where I was in the spiritual journey, God the Father literally pulled up beside the hillside and opened his limousine and came and retrieved me as his beautiful daughter. And that's obviously a very deep symbolism in the spiritual journey. And he brought me with Jesus to a spot, and he showed me, it was in the center of a 3D ring with Jesus and God the Father. And he showed me all around me basically snapshots of people's lives and how they were coming in and out of their homes, and all around me were just people in their daily lives on their journey. And he showed me that I was at the center with him and that I was to help them in some way in the spiritual journey. And as I sat in the center of that 3D holographic ring with God the Father being shown all these people's lives, my heart felt like it was bursting with love, and I could not wait to be part of the journey, to be in support of other people on the spiritual path.
When one's on the spiritual journey and really starts to make the narrow climb, you can start to feel like you're climbing through crevices or impossible moments. And this experience from July 24th, 2002, it does have satanic experience in it, satanic attack. But again, I was shown that we have all the help that we need, and if we just persevere in the journey, perseverance is very important. If we persevere, God will give us every aid that we need to be successful and victorious in the walk.
To do with basically coming into a deeper stage of spiritual journey and climbing up through narrow crevices, coming out of your home and trying to climb through very, very narrow journey, narrow crevices to where God wants you. And in this dream experience, there was a lot of satanic attack. I'm not going to go into specific detail, but he was everywhere, coming at me, ramming me from various sides to try and stop me from this spiritual path climb, this narrow walk. He's going to do the same with you, but I do not want you to fear, because God is 100% protecting you, even more so as you climb the spiritual journey, because you're already out of his grasp when you choose to walk through the tunnel to the other side. The tunnel really for me symbolizes the act of cleansing and confession, for going through a passageway from one stage of your journey and your spiritual growth to another. And I was told that we don't have to worry, that we can follow this path and we'll come out the other side and there will be sunshine at the other side, and I can vouch for that 100%. You do not have to fear Satan. You have to absolutely place all of your trust 100% in God our Father and Jesus our beloved Lord. There's talk of two stages that are the most marked or profound ones in the spiritual journey, and that is of the hill, climbing the hill, and then climbing the mountain. And they have to do with two stages of self-renunciation and surrender to the will of God. And I'm going to share with you today one from February the 17th, 2002, that was one of the most painful moments of my life, where I really finally surrendered to God and said, okay, I will go in whatever direction you'd like me to go in. But it really meant, in my head, giving up things that I valued very highly. And there's a beautiful angel experience in this dream, so I'm very happy to share it with you today as encouragement. This is a profound experience of me running into my deceased grandmother and asking her, how is God? Is he happy with my service? And is he pleased with the work that I'm doing for him? And the next thing I know, I was called and I was brought to this high mountain or summit. And we're coming today from beautiful Gatineau Park and the Champlain Lookout. And the whole essence of this message is that I had climbed this high mountain, and I've talked to you before about the hill and the mountain, two stages of profound growth in the spiritual journey. And at this point, back early in my journey, I was standing at the summit of the mountain, waiting expectantly. And from over the top of the side of the mountain came an angel, and he handed me a satchel. And in the satchel was a message for me, and it said, we have decided to change your path. And I wondered what he meant and said, oh, I wonder what that's going to entail. And let me tell you, there was an extreme year of stripping that followed that changing of my path. But what I kind of wondered is that from consecrating myself to Mary and being part of the Apostolate of Holy Motherhood, my initial call, but then consecrating myself so fully and being so full of desire to be used by God, perhaps he decided to change my journey and make it into something a little more obvious and profound, so that I could serve and be a witness to the world and aid people in the spiritual journey. And I will never forget standing at the summit of this beautiful mountain and having that angel come over and handing this gift to me in this message. It's really a poignant part of my uphill climb in the battle for goodness and spirituality as the Christian walk. I encourage you today not to be afraid to climb the mountain, difficult though it may be. Coming up on our next segment of our All Hallows Eve special, we're going to be sharing with you some of my darker experiences of Satan, demons, satanic attack that are part of the spiritual warfare and the journey. Inside glimpses that I was given to the reality of this, and nothing to be feared, but something to become aware of so that you're more armed in the spiritual battle. Thank you for checking out our All Hallows Eve special. If you're interested in viewing more of my experiences, please check out our other videos on the Deliverance Network. And for some writings associated with these videos and experiences that we brought to you, please check out www.thedeliverancenetwork.com. And for our local work for and with women, please check out www.sisterhood.live and discern if you would like to become a sister.